Hello, I'm Ryan.
Hello, I am Amy. Welcome to Listen to English Podcast.
Today's episode is How to Speak English Without Fear.
Yeah, it's incredible how many people all over the world are dedicating themselves to learning English.
Hmm.
And yet, one of the biggest challenges they face
Right.
is something as simple as speaking.
You spend all this time working on vocabulary and grammar and listening,
Right.
but then actually
Yeah.
opening your mouth and having a real conversation feels terrifying. You have this amazing new tool,
Yeah,
but you're too afraid to take it out of the box and use it.
absolutely.
Have you ever felt that way?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I know when I was learning Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
I could understand a lot of what people were saying,
Yeah.
but actually stringing together a sentence and responding, forget about it.
Oh, yeah. I think fear is a totally natural response.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
There's something vulnerable about putting yourself out there in
Absolutely.
another language, especially when you're not sure if you'll be understood
Yeah.
or if you're going to make a bunch of mistakes.
It's fascinating how young children learning to speak
Oh, totally.
their first language don't seem to have this fear at all.
It's true.
They make all sorts of grammatical errors.
Right.
They mispronounce words.
Yeah.
They jumble things up,
But just keep talking.
but they just keep talking.
Yeah, and no one even thinks twice about it.
Right.
They are encouraged, not criticized.
Exactly.
And that's how they develop their fluency.
It makes you wonder what happens along the way
I know.
that makes us as adults so afraid of not being perfect,
Right?
especially when it comes to speaking another language.
Especially, yeah.
It appears that it's like we shift our focus from simply communicating
Uh-huh.
to trying to achieve some level of perfection.
Right.
And that's where the fear starts to creep in.
That's when it comes in.
It appears there are several specific anxieties that commonly pop up
Yes.
when people are learning languages. The fear of making mistakes is a big one, of course.
Yeah.
But there's also the fear of being judged.
Right.
The fear of forgetting the right word right when you need it.
Yeah.
And even the fear of not understanding what other people are saying to you.
That's a big one, too.
Can you imagine if someone visited your country
Mm-hmm.
and was trying their best to speak your language?
Yeah.
Would you laugh at them
No.
or make them feel embarrassed?
Of course not.
No, of course not.
Right.
You try to help them, be patient with them,
Yes.
maybe even use some gestures
Uh-huh.
to make sure you understood each other.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get caught up in our own heads
Yeah.
and assume the worst,
Right.
but the reality is most people are incredibly understanding
Yeah, I think so.
and willing to help,
Mm-hmm.
especially when they see that you're making an effort.
Exactly.
It's important to remember that when it comes to speaking English,
Mhm.
the goal is to communicate effectively, not to have flawless grammar.
It's not about perfection.
It's about making connections with other people,
Yes.
sharing your ideas,
Uh-huh.
and expressing yourself.
Exactly.
Mistakes are simply a natural part of the learning process.
It's all part of it.
Think about it. Even native English speakers make mistakes all the time.
All the time.
So if making mistakes is inevitable,
Mm-hmm.
and people are generally going to be understanding,
Right.
what can we actually do to start feeling more confident about speaking English?
That's not the question.
Is there a practical approach we can take to overcome this fear?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely. It appears that there are some very specific and practical steps you can take
Yeah.
to start building your confidence
Uh-huh.
and breaking free from that fear of speaking.
I think so, for sure. One of the most effective ways, I think, to overcome the fear of speaking is to simply speak more.
I know, that might seem a little counterintuitive.
I know, right?
But the more you practice speaking, even if you make mistakes,
Yeah.
the easier it becomes.
It's like anything. The more you do it, the
Right, yeah.
easier it gets.
But where do you even begin?
Yeah.
If the idea of launching into a full conversation just feels totally overwhelming,
It's a good point. You don't have to start with a full conversation. You can start really small.
okay.
Even practicing one sentence a day
Mm-hmm.
can make a real difference.
Okay.
Start small and gradually build up complexity over time.
So give me an example.
Okay, sure.
What would that look like?
So let's say you start with a simple sentence.
Okay.
Like, today is a beautiful day.
Okay.
And the next day you could add a little more detail. Like,
Yeah.
today is a beautiful day because the sun is shining.
Right. So you're just
You're just building on.
building on it.
It's about those small wins, about building momentum.
What about those times when you completely freeze up, though,
Yeah.
and you just can't think of the words?
Yeah.
Like your brain just goes blank.
Oh, yeah. That's totally normal.
Right.
And that's a good reason to practice speaking by yourself at first.
Oh.
You know, you can talk out loud to yourself, describe what you're doing, narrate your day, you know?
So you're telling me it's okay to wander around my house talking to myself in English?
Yeah.
I'm not sure my family would approve.
Think of it like a dress rehearsal for real-life conversations.
Okay.
You know, it's your chance to get comfortable with the sounds of the language, try out different words and phrases, and build that muscle memory for speaking.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a great way to work through those moments when you get stuck.
Right.
So let's say you're cooking dinner.
Okay.
You can narrate your actions like,
Right.
I am chopping the vegetables, now I am adding the spices.
I like that. Yeah.
It's fun and surprisingly effective way to practice.
What about when you want to say something more complex,
Yeah,
but you just don't have the vocabulary?
right.
It can feel so frustrating to be limited in what you can express.
Totally. Yeah. And that's where the idea of easy English comes in.
Easy English.
Yeah. You know, starting with simpler language,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on getting your message across.
Right.
Rather than trying to use big, complicated words.
So it's totally fine to keep it simple.
Yeah, totally.
Remember, the goal is communication, not to sound like a walking dictionary.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, instead of struggling to say, I am experiencing extreme fatigue today,
Right.
you could just say, I am very tired today.
Exactly.
Both sentences convey the same basic meaning.
They do.
Sometimes a simple tool is all you need to get the job done.
Absolutely.
And I think it's just a good reminder that clarity and simplicity are especially important when you're first starting out.
Especially then. Yeah.
And it's crucial, I think,
Yeah.
to shift your focus from perfection to communication.
Right.
You know, remember, even if your sentence isn't grammatically perfect,
Right.
if people understand what you're trying to say,
Yeah.
you've succeeded.
You've done it.
Don't get bogged down in the details. Focus on getting your message across.
Just get that message across. Yeah.
It's like a puzzle.
Uh-huh.
Even if a few pieces are slightly out of place,
Yeah.
you can still see the overall picture.
Do you still see the image? Yeah.
Give yourself permission to make mistakes,
Yes.
to experiment with the language,
Absolutely.
and to just enjoy the act of communicating.
It should be fun.
You're really making me feel so much more relaxed about speaking English.
Good.
It's starting to sink in that it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's about being brave enough
Yeah.
to try
Yeah.
to make those mistakes and to learn from them.
Exactly. That's how we learn.
Absolutely.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And there are even more practical tips that can help boost your confidence.
Okay.
Have you ever considered recording yourself speaking?
Recording myself.
Yeah.
Honestly, that sounds terrifying.
I know it can be a little scary.
I don't even like hearing my own voice on voicemail.
I understand, but hearing yourself speak can be incredibly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It helps you identify areas for improvement, become more aware of your pronunciation,
Uh-huh.
and get used to the sound of your own voice in English.
Okay.
It's like having a personal speech coach right in your pocket.
Okay, I'm willing to give it a shot.
Okay, good.
Any suggestions on how to approach this whole recording thing?
Yeah, I think you could try recording yourself for a few minutes each day.
Okay.
Maybe recapping what you did
Yeah.
or talking about something that interests you. At first, you might feel awkward hearing your own voice in English, but over time, you'll become more comfortable and you'll start to notice the areas where you can improve.
I like the idea of recording myself talking about my day.
Yeah,
It feels less pressured than trying to have a formal conversation.
exactly.
Plus, it's something I can do consistently,
Right.
which is, I think, key for building any new habit.
It is. Consistency is definitely key.
Right?
And speaking of building good habits, it's also crucial to find supportive practice partners.
Oh, yeah.
Having encouraging people to practice with makes a world of difference.
For sure.
It's so much easier to learn and grow
Yeah.
when you're in a safe and supportive environment.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're starting out, it's really helpful to talk to people
Uh-huh.
who are patient and understanding.
Right.
Maybe a friend who is also learning English,
Mhm.
or a tutor who specializes in working with beginners,
Right.
or even a family member who is willing to listen and encourage you.
Yeah,
It's so important to have those cheerleaders in your corner,
absolutely.
those people who are there to support you.
Yeah.
Not to criticize every little mistake.
Right.
It's about finding those safe spaces
Yeah.
where you can practice without feeling judged, where you can experiment with the language and build your confidence.
And avoiding those hypercritical people
Yes.
that make you feel like you're back in school taking a test.
Exactly. Remember, learning a language is a journey. And it's much more enjoyable when you have the right people alongside you.
For sure.
You know, joining an English club could be a great option too.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fantastic way to meet other learners,
Right.
practice in a relaxed setting, and you might even make some new friends along the way.
That's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
It's all about creating those opportunities
Right.
for positive and enjoyable interactions in English.
Yeah.
You know, the more you can immerse yourself in the language, the more natural it will start to feel.
Exactly. It will just become more and more natural.
This has been such an inspiring conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
I feel like we've really broken down
Yeah.
this fear of speaking English into manageable steps.
Right. Exactly.
It's not about becoming fluent overnight.
No.
It's about taking those consistent actions that gradually build confidence over time.
It's like building a house brick by brick.
Exactly.
You just keep adding to it.
Yeah. It's important to celebrate those small victories along the way.
Totally.
You know, every time you speak, even if it's just a few words, you're building that foundation for fluency.
You are. Every single time.
Let's do a quick recap
Okay.
of those 6 key steps we talked about today
Right.
for overcoming the fear of speaking English.
Yes.
First, speak more, even if you make mistakes.
Good.
Second, practice speaking alone to build comfort and fluency.
Yeah.
Third, start with easy English
Yes.
to get your message across clearly.
Keep it simple.
Fourth, focus on communication, not perfection.
Absolutely.
Fifth, record yourself speaking
Yes.
to identify areas for improvement.
That's a great one.
And sixth, talk to friendly people first
Yes.
to build confidence in a supportive environment.
So important.
It's a great summary.
Thanks.
And remember, the most important thing is to start speaking today.
Yes. Just start.
Even if it's just for a few minutes, take that first step and put those words out into the world.
You got this.
What's one small action you can take right now to start practicing your English?
Yeah.
Maybe it's saying hello to someone you don't know,
Yeah.
or ordering your coffee in English,
Uh-huh.
or even just talking to yourself while you're getting dressed in the morning.
It all counts.
Every little bit counts.
Yeah, it does.
And remember, we're here to support you
We are.
on your English speaking journey.
Always.
Be sure to subscribe to our podcast
Yes.
for more English learning tips.
Uh-huh.
And until then, keep practicing and keep speaking.
That's right.
You got this.
You do.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. It really helps our channel grow and reach more English learners like you. By subscribing, you'll never miss a new episode, and by liking the video, you're letting us know you want more helpful content. Thank you for your support. It means so much to us.